One of the biggest issues concerning any kind of simulation in 3D is how to create a very art-directed, specific look for the shot, but at the same time maintain a lot of the nuances and complexity that are created by the simulation engine. So, for example, you have a car crash or very, very complex interaction between obstacles. You're basically at the mercy of the simulation engine to just give you a result, and if you don't like it, what you have to do is just resimulate the entire thing, tune a parameter, resimulate again, and this kind of back and forth cycle is basically what effects artist spends all their time doing to get the look the director wants. With the XSI architecture, you can actually pre-visualize a simulation without actually having to simulate it using the ghosting features, and that's extremely powerful for actually planning and directing your simulation. So just to highlight that, I'm going to use a simple scene to show you how that can be used. So what we have here is basically a dice falling onto a cube that's a passive obstacle for the dice. So what we have here is the dice is falling and giving us a number 6. Say if the director came in and wanted the dice to fall and land within the cube but give us a number 1, what one would normally do is go to the cube, go to the initial state, and then adjust initial state settings as they're running the simulation. Let's just pin that guy down. And basically try and tune it, the initial state, so the end result will eventually give us a 1. So as you can tell right away, this is fairly the luck of the draw to get the result you want, and it is not the most obvious thing. And you can imagine this is a very simple scenario. So eventually I can luck upon the end result and get the 1. But for a large simulation where you want to choreograph many different objects, it's next to impossible to get something very specific. What we can do is actually use the ghosting feature. So what we want to do is go to the beginning of the simulation and go to the display options. And in the display options, we have a ghosting tab. And here we can enable a ghosting feature. So I can enable an animation ghosting. And what we're getting here is basically the frames after the simulation. So I've got frames after. We're showing 10 frames after the initial position. So as I scrub, you can see we're projecting ahead. And we got a step of 1, so we're showing the next 10 frames. If I go with the step, 4, 5, 6, we're actually representing the entire 60 frame sequence. So you can see the last ghost frame represents the result. So now it's a much easier task of basically adjusting my initial state. Let's just set the frame step to 60, so we actually just see the end frame. So now it's just a matter of adjusting my settings. We can see we've got a 3 there. We can adjust some of the rotation here. Oh. Let's just adjust that. 0.995, and that looks like we've got the 1 there. So let's just play back the simulation, and there we go. Something that would take much longer simulating, we can do quickly through animation ghosting. So that's a quick look at rigid body and animation ghosting.